it's confirmed as we have multiple huge reports revealing that LeBron James and Rui Hachimura's return is imminent. We're going to break down those reports and discuss what it means going forward as it is finally happening for the Lakers. LeBron and Rui Hachimura are on the brink of a return. We're going to break down this huge update and discuss what it means going forward. We also have a couple other updates as well surrounding the Lakers. That is very intriguing. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But if you're part of the 90% before we get into the video who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. Your guys' support has been absolutely fantastic, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. And thank you guys again for your continued support as we work towards the big goal of 20,000 subscribers. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a ton of news to go over today, and I had a video earlier on the updates surrounding LeBron James, the updates surrounding Rui Hachimura, and JJ Redick has finally spoke out and revealed the details behind LeBron James and Rui Hachimura's return. And the video I made earlier today aged well, so go check that out after this one if you haven't already. And let's dive right into the big update here. LeBron James completed another pregame workout. This is before the game tonight against the Bucks. Completed another pregame workout, which included some sprints and finishing at the basket. JJ Redick has said this week that LeBron is day-to-day. So that was the initial thing that we saw tonight, revealing some pretty big information. And then he finally came out and said that he's hopeful that both LeBron and Rui Hachimura will play on Saturday against the Chicago Bulls. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally have some hope. We finally have some clarity on their return. Now, a few different things to go over here. I covered in the video earlier today from Jovan Buha. He said that he was fairly confident that LeBron and Rui will return by the end of the week. Of course, now we're heading towards, the end of the week. It is Thursday, and the Bucks obviously are playing the Bucks, all these different things. But I said this in the video earlier, that the weekend is when I expected and predicted LeBron and Rui to return, and it seems that that is going to be the case against the Bulls. And we'll dive into their schedule and a bunch of implications for this, but I absolutely love the timing of this return because, A, you're going up against a quote-unquote weaker team in the Chicago Bulls. Of course, we now know, which we'll dive into ahead of tonight's game, they are resting Luka Doncic, they are resting Austin Reaves, and probably resting Vando, Dorian Finney-Smith, all these different guys they rested. So they want to be fully healthy ahead of the game against the Bulls. And now for Saturday, not only are you going to be fully healthy against the Chicago Bulls, you now have a chance for this entire team to come back, come together, and obviously, for the first time in a very long time, be fully healthy. And even when Luka Doncic first returned to the Lakers, we think back to when they made the trade, right? And he came to the Lakers and he was healthy. He has never really been fully healthy for the Los Angeles Lakers yet. And it seems like he's starting to get to that point. They're starting to get on the cusp of that. And to see him and see JJ Redick finally come out and say exactly what we all wanted to hear about Luka Doncic being hopeful. Now, I don't think he'd say this. Like, it is fairly confirmed now that he's going to be playing on Saturday, which is fantastic news. And not only LeBron, but Rui Hachimura as well. And there was rumblings the whole time that both of these guys would be returning around the same time. And those rumblings were very true. Because you think back to, again, prior to the game against the Bucks tonight, they completed his pregame workout, which included some sprints and finishing at the basket, LeBron being day-to-day. We think back to yesterday, Rui Hachimura, who missed the last 8 games with his left knee injury, did some shots up pregame, and Redick said that he's been able to play 3-on-3 as a part of the ramp-up process, and his status remains day-to-day for a return. So you start to put all the puzzle pieces together here, and you're starting to think, okay, Rui Hachimura is starting to ramp up. We heard LeBron is ramping up. We were also supposed to get an update earlier this week. And Thursday, it's not necessarily the earliest of updates, but they wanted to be sure. And it makes sense now because if they were going to wait for his return until, of course, Saturday, then giving an update later on in the week makes some sense. And as it pertains to LeBron, of course, this is, best case scenario, way better than we expected. And it is fantastic that he is now going to be returning. Hopeful, again, almost 100% positive that he will be returning. And speaking of some of these injuries that I mentioned, a couple things to go over here. Let's start with the injury report for tonight's game. So you can see this here, DFS and Vando doubtful, but Luka, Rui, LeBron, Kleber, and Austin Reaves were all out. And Austin Reaves, dealing with the right ankle sprain, kind of came out of nowhere. They are almost, some fans are thinking that they're throwing this game, which is partially true. And you can see this here from Clutch. Assuming we lose and Denver wins against Portland tomorrow, I think we're down a full game behind Denver and drop to 4. And I want to ask you guys in the comment section to let me know down below right now if you're watching. What kind of side of the fence are you on? Because half of the fans we've seen out there are kind of like, okay, just rest, get healthy, be 100% good for the playoffs. But there's other people like, Clutch came out and was saying, I want to see them play as many of their players as possible. You can see here, Luka, DFS, and Vando should play tonight. Luka's 26, he should be out there unless he's really compromised. Same goes for Vando and DFS, who are both clearly healthy. I hate the idea of tanking games for no reason. And this one got a lot of traction, and it really had me thinking. I think I'm at the point now where I think they're resting these guys so that way the entire team can be fully healthy, fully ready to go, and fully locked in specifically for Saturday. And then, of course, going forward in the season as they enter a pretty, interesting schedule here. But there has been something to be said about the actual standings, and I covered in the video earlier today. They are within striking reach 2 wins behind the Nuggets for the 2 seed. But now, despite that, assuming you lose tonight's game, and whatever happens against the Bucks, against Dame is doubtful to play, all these different things, right? No matter what happens in the Bucks game, because that's kind of irrelevant to these injuries in this video right now, in the sense of if you fall down the seeding, there's clearly a message being sent here from the front office, from the coach, all these different things. Whoever makes these, obviously it's a culmination. JJ Redick, front office, I'm sure Genie Bus, all these guys have, talks, guys and girls, sorry, have talks in these decisions. I think it's at a point now where they're trying to be as careful as possible with the injuries. And we know Luka, he's been battling an injury. I mean, Austin Reaves, to a degree, I guess. DFS and Vando, I guess they're just trying to manage them. And we saw against the Nuggets, they did a similar thing, except they had Revo. And with Reaves there, they almost beat the Nuggets. Now, I would have liked them to just play Reaves and all these different things, but it really brings up this question, and I'm very curious to see what you all think about it, because I'm kind of on the side of I'm fine resting. The playoffs are what matters the most. We saw how quickly injuries can turn, going from fully healthy to LeBron and Rui Hachimura being out. And now, of course, you have a bunch of players out tonight. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. It is very interesting. And for tonight's game, again, we're going to see a lot of Dalton Knecht minutes, and other than that, it's going to be a very interesting game. Jackson Hayes is back to being healthy, all these different things. So it's going to be an interesting one. And as you start to look at now the schedule ahead, their target return is against Chicago, which they immediately step in now into a back-to-back against the Orlando Magic. And you have to assume that they're going to play. The question now is, does Luka, does LeBron, do they play both nights of a back-to-back? I would assume one of them is going to rest, like probably LeBron. I can't see him coming back and immediately hopping into a back-to-back. Same with Rui. Maybe one of them do, but they're clearly picking their battles wisely. And you have a bit of a tough schedule coming up here. You play Indiana and then, of course, Chicago, but then Memphis, who's a rival and you're chasing. Houston, Golden State, all teams that are really close to you in the standings. And then you play Oklahoma City back to back, and then Houston, and then Portland to close out the season. So if you have any worry specifically about the seeding and about what the seeding is going to mean going forward for this team, then you're at a point now where resting players like this, where they clearly aren't really hurt, right? Like there's no way Dorian and Vando are both really hurt. However, Vando, right groin strain, kind of came out of nowhere. It's going to be interesting to see what they actually do, because these games will matter a lot depending on how the Lakers view the seeding. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to beat the teams to make the finals anyway. And if they just want to prioritize their health and prioritize not getting anybody else injured, and especially at a point now where you're going to be worried about re-aggravating injuries, it makes some sense. But let me know down below what side of the fence you are. And also let me know down below what your thoughts are on this update. Some big news dropping. I told you to keep you up to date with all the latest news. This just dropped surrounding LeBron James. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you all in the next one.